In the annals of Greek mythology, there are stories of heroes and monsters, gods and mortals. But perhaps no tale is more chilling than that of Medea, a story of love, betrayal, and revenge so dark that it continues to haunt us thousands of years later. Our story begins in Colchis, a distant kingdom at the edge of the known world, where King Aeetes ruled with an iron fist and guarded the legendary Golden Fleece. The fleece wasn't just treasure, it was a symbol of divine favor, power beyond imagination. Enter Jason, the handsome prince who arrived with his Argonauts seeking this prize. But Jason had no idea that his greatest ally, and eventually his greatest enemy, would be the king's own daughter, Medea. Now, Medea wasn't just any princess. She was a sorceress of incredible power, trained in the dark arts by Hecate herself, goddess of magic and crossroads. When Medea first laid eyes on Jason, something extraordinary happened. The goddess Hera, desperate to help Jason, enlisted Aphrodite to strike Medea with Cupid's arrow. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. Medea fell completely, utterly in love. But this wasn't just puppy love. This was cosmic, all-consuming passion that would drive her to betray everything she'd ever known. King Aeetes, however, had no intention of simply handing over the Golden Fleece. He set Jason 3 impossible tasks, each designed to kill him. First, Jason had to yoke 2 fire-breathing bronze bulls and plow a field with them. Then, he had to sow the field with dragon's teeth. These teeth would sprout into fully armed warriors who would try to kill him. Finally, he had to defeat the sleepless dragon that guarded the Golden Fleece itself. These tasks were meant to be suicide. No mortal could possibly survive them. But Medea couldn't bear to watch the man she loved die, so she made a choice that would change everything. She decided to help him. Under cover of darkness, she met Jason in secret and gave him a magical ointment that would protect him from the bull's fire. She also told him the secret to defeating the skeleton warriors. Throw a stone among them, and they would turn on each other instead of him. But the greatest challenge remained: the sleepless dragon. For this, Medea gave Jason a potion that would put even the immortal guardian to sleep. Her magic worked perfectly. Jason completed all 3 impossible tasks and seized the Golden Fleece while the dragon slumbered. But King Aeetes was furious. He had been outsmarted and he knew magic was involved. Medea realized her father would kill both her and Jason if they stayed. So, she made an even more terrible choice. She fled with Jason, abandoning her family, her homeland, everything she'd ever known. But her betrayals weren't finished. As they sailed away, King Aeetes pursued them with his fleet, determined to reclaim his daughter and the fleece. Medea, desperate to save Jason, committed an act so horrible that it haunts the story forever. She killed her own brother, Absyrtus. Then, to delay her father's pursuit, she scattered pieces of his body in the sea, knowing Aeetes would have to stop and collect them for proper burial. It was fratricide, the murder of family, one of the worst crimes imaginable. But her sacrifice worked. Jason escaped with the Golden Fleece, and Medea had proven her love beyond any doubt. For years, they lived happily in Corinth. Medea bore Jason 2 sons, and her magic made Jason successful and respected. But then, everything changed. Jason, now older and more ambitious, was offered a chance to marry Glauce, the young daughter of King Creon. This marriage would make him heir to the throne of Corinth. Jason, blinded by ambition, decided to abandon Medea for this political alliance. When he told Medea of his plans, her world shattered. This woman who had sacrificed everything, her family, her homeland, even her brother's life, was being cast aside like a broken tool. Jason tried to rationalize his betrayal, claiming it was for their children's future, but Medea saw through his lies. This was pure selfishness. King Creon, fearing Medea's magic and her rage, ordered her to leave Corinth immediately. She would lose not just Jason, but her children too. That's when something dark awakened in Medea's heart. She who had once used her power for love would now use it for vengeance. First, she crafted a wedding gift for Glauce, a beautiful golden dress and crown. But these weren't ordinary gifts. They were infused with deadly magic. When Glaus put on the dress and crown for her wedding, they burst into unquenchable flames that consumed her alive. Her father Creon, trying desperately to save her, was also burned to death. But Medea's revenge wasn't complete. Jason had taken her future, so she would take his. In the most horrifying act of the entire story, Medea murdered her own children, Jason's sons. She knew this would destroy Jason more completely than any other revenge. When Jason arrived at her house, desperate to save his children, Medea appeared above him in a chariot sent by her grandfather, the sun god Helios. She held the bodies of their dead children, taunting Jason with his loss. Jason, once the great hero, was left with nothing. No wife, no children, no future. Medea flew away to Athens, where she would start a new life, leaving behind only death and the echo of her terrible revenge. The story of Medea isn't just ancient myth, it's a psychological study of what happens when love turns to hate, when betrayal pushes someone beyond all moral boundaries. Medea's tale reminds us that the greatest monsters aren't born. They're made by the very people who once claimed to love them.